Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the First Class Sports Podcast. My name is Bobby. Today is September 13th, 2023, and on this episode, this will be our recap of Week 1 of the NFL. I do not have Eric with me. As discussed in last week's episode, and the week before, on our initial breakdown of the podcast, him and his family are going through some things, and it was discussed that this week would be a very, very strong likelihood he would not be here. That is the case. It will just be me. I could not find a guest. My dad did the pick'em. So, however, he's not feeling froggy enough to do the recap, which is fine. I can do that by myself. We are trying to find some more guests for future weeks. Week 1 opened up with the Detroit Lions at the defending Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City was without Chris Jones. He was holding out for a contract or more money. They were also without their star tight end, Travis Kelce, who hyperextended his knee. He did not go. And that was a problem. I believe I chose Detroit on this one. Actually, let me go ahead and get that before I give you the final score. I'll go ahead and give you what we went. I normally like to do that before I actually give you scores. So last week, I went 8-8 on my picks. Not a very good start. Eric also went 8-8. So currently, we're sitting right at 500. Not very good. We'll try to clean that up. So as that sits down there, as we like to have our records, we're both sitting 8-8. As you can see here, I am the defending champ of last year. We'll see if I can hold on to that. Not looking good early. But the Lions did win 21-20. Was a very good game, I'm going to be honest. Jared Goff kept it clean. He 22 for 35, 253, one touchdown, no picks. David Montgomery, a lot of people wanted Gibbs to carry the ball more. I think they're going to work him in, him being a rookie. Montgomery ran 21 times for 74 and a touchdown. Gibbs only had 7 for 42. Amon St. Brown had 6 catches for 71 and a touchdown. Reynolds catching for 80 yards. Flip over to Mahomes. Listen, Mahomes is going to need someone who can catch the ball outside Kelce. Mahomes had 21 for 39 for 226, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. And I believe one of those picks was a pick 6. One of those touchdowns was a 50-yard pick 6 coming off of, I believe it was Kadarius Toney who dropped the ball. Had it right in his hands, had it come up. The safety came up, grabbed it, took it to the house. And the score, that's what cost him the game. That defensive score cost him the game. They kind of ran the ball. They had 90 total yards with Mahomes being their leading rusher with 45. Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire only had 23 and 22 respectively. Marquez Vandal-Scantling had only 2 catches for 48, and Justin Watson had 2 for 45. Listen, Toney was supposed to be this guy coming out of here. He dropped like 4 or 5 passes. The dude was awful. Right in his hands. Dropped them. Same with Sky Moore. Sky Moore coming out of college was an amazing prospect. He dropped like 3 passes. Outside of Kelce, they have no one who can catch a ball. And that's a problem if Kelce can't play. There's a few wide receivers who are a little disgruntled and want to be traded. If I was Kansas City, I'd be making some phone calls because it's going to be a long season, I think. Do I think they can still win the division? I don't see Vegas and I don't see Denver fighting Chargers, their defense is awful. Their offense can hang with people. Kansas City always starts slow, so we will see. But, man, you've got to find someone who can catch the ball. It's going to be a problem. Moving on to Panthers and Falcons. This was Bryce Young's debut, number 1 overall pick. And he didn't play well. He was 20 for 38 for 146, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. It is what it is when you're a rookie quarterback. Gonna have some bumps in the roads. You know, the team actually had a lot of rushing yards. Miles Sanders had 18 for 72, and Chuba had 9 for 60. So your run game may be there. You know, I just think it's going to be a very long year for Carolina. Atlanta, probably the same thing over on their side. We saw more offense. Boy, that might have to get cut.
Yeah, that's definitely going to get cut.
I might have more. Hang on. Jesus Christ. Sorry. Ooh. I'm all right. I sneeze in 3s. Roll it back. All right. For Atlanta, Desmond Ridder, he was on point. He was 18 for 115 and a touchdown. He did take 4 sacks, so that offensive line needs to step that up. Algier took more snaps than Bijan did, at least as far as rushing attempts. Algier rushed for 15 for 75 and 2 touchdowns, while Bijan had 10 carries for 56. But Bijan was more active in the passing game. He had 6 for 27 and a touchdown. So, any fantasy guys out there? I know we don't really touch a base on fantasy a lot. Bijan looks to be being used more in the passing game, but we'll keep an eye on that. Both of these teams are kind of trying to see where they're at. Disappointment game of the week. You have Cincinnati at Cleveland. I'm not sure about this. I do not think Joe Burrow has ever beaten Cleveland in Cleveland. Burrow just got a massive new contract. I believe right before this game, he signed a 5-year, $275 million contract. And he went 14 for 31 for 82 yards. That's not good. I believe he was benched. It was awful weather. I get that. You didn't have much help in the running game. Joe Mixon had 13 for 56. I mean, Jamar Chase, yeah, he had 5 for 39. I mean, first game, Burrow came out after and said something along the lines of relax. It wasn't relax, but it was basically like, hey, this is week 1, calm down. Am I concerned yet? No. I do need to see more. I want to give teams kind of 4 weeks to really get it going. I don't think this is too much of a red flag. I don't want to start sounding the alarm too early. As far as Deshaun Watson, he went 16 for 29 for 154, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, took 3 sacks. Here's the difference here. Cleveland had 206 yards on the ground compared to Cincinnati's 75. Nick Chubb had 106 on the ground. Deshaun Watson added another 45 and a touchdown. So Deshaun had 2 total touchdowns. Elijah Moore was their leading receiver with 3 for 43. Amari Cooper added another 3 for 37. Nothing too outstanding here, but again, it was kind of a sloppy mess up here in Ohio. So we'll see when these games get maybe a little cleaner. They get inside, they get nicer weather. We'll see. But Cleveland beat them 24-3. This was nowhere close to a good game. Moving on, we'll go to Jacksonville at Indianapolis. This was a lot closer than I thought it would be. This ended Jacksonville winning 31-21, and it was closer than that at the end. Colts played a lot better than I predicted. Being a Colts fan here in Indy, this season is definitely you need to mature your team. You have a rookie head coach. You have a rookie quarterback. Your offensive line is struggling. You have your running backs who's in dismay. I truly don't think Pittman's a 1. You can argue with me all you want. I think Pittman needs help at that 1 spot. I think he's a very, very strong 2. I think he needs a number 1 wide receiver to contend or to be at that level. I saw flashes of what Anthony Richardson can be. However, he took too many shots. Anthony Richardson was 24 for 37. I think on his debut, coming out ripping 37 passes is a little heavy. But your run game wasn't there. We ran 26 times for 65 yards total. And your leading rusher was Anthony Richardson. He ran 10 times for 40 yards. He did have a touchdown. Richardson did have a touchdown. He also did have a pick. And he was sacked 4 times. Our offensive line is still a problem. And I don't at one point, a few years ago, maybe not even 2 years ago, we had probably the highest paid offensive line. And right now, it's just not there. Pittman led the team with 8 catches for 97 yards and a touchdown. He had a really nice, almost a screen kind of, nice run there. I believe it was his 39-yard touchdown. Granson had a few great catches too. He's showing up. I was a little wary when we drafted Granson. He's a little smaller than I would like as a tight end, but he's showing up. Trevor Lawrence, listen, the thing that impressed me with the Colts was their defense, to be honest with you. I thought with the weapons that Jacksonville had, we would get mollywopped in this game. And our defense kept us in this game. They scored a last touchdown. It was a big breakaway run. But that was at the end when we turned the ball over and our defense had just been on the field for a long drive, and we turned the ball over. They were gassed. I get it. The defense had kept us in the game the entire time. The Colts had, I believe, 2 turnovers, maybe 3 turnovers in the game. I know we had a pick, and I know we had a fumble recovery. And that kept us in the game. It really did. We had a fumble recovery for a touchdown with DeForest Buckner. That was a big heads-up play by them. But Lawrence was 24 for 32 for 241, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Sacked him twice. ETN had 77 yards. 26 of that came on his long touchdown run, I believe. They had 105 total yards on the ground. We only had 65. We need to if the Colts are going to be successful, we need to up our run game. If Zach Moss comes back, we really have to drive home that run game. I believe that's the only way currently we're going to win games. So if we can get that run game going, we can get that RPO truly moving. But I saw a little bit of hype from what I saw from Anthony Richardson. I liked what I saw. We'll see where that goes. He did take a big shot at the end. He should be fine. He took a shot he shouldn't have and went out for the final few plays of the game. I don't like seeing that. Needs to protect himself better. Moving on to Tampa Bay versus Vikings. I think Vikings are going to show who they really are. They were a really good team last year. And they easily should have won this game. And they lost 20-17. And I don't think there was a rhyme or reason to. They have, on paper, the better team. Cousins was 33 for 44 for 344, 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. Baker, on the other hand, was 21 for 34 for 173 and 2 touchdowns. quarterbacks played, pretty well. The ratings both flirted with 100. I just don't think last year Vikings went. They were very. I think they were 13-4, I believe. They had a plus minus in the negative. And I don't know how you can continue to do that. I think we're going to see them regress. There's no way they can keep that up. They won a lot of close games last year. I think that's where they lose. I think we're going to see them lose as they did here. Baker played well. I think we're going to only see him continue to succeed. He was finding his number ones. Mike Evans had 6 for 66 and Godwin had 5 for 51. That's really good that he's finding those wide receivers early. Justin Jefferson, he's an animal. He had 9 for 150. Unfortunately, he didn't score. But, I mean, when he was targeted 12 times for 9 catches and 150, I mean, come on. I just think it's going to be a bad year for the Vikings. We shall see, though. Next, we have Titans at New Orleans. Titans lost 15-16. And the Titans are not using Henry as much. He only ran 15 times. And that's definitely interesting for me. I thought they would have used him more. Now, he is getting to be an aging running back, but when your main offensive focal point is Derrick Henry and you only run him 15 times, you see the outcome. You're going to lose. Now, he ran 15 for 63. That's still a 4.2 average. That's not bad. I think it could be a long year for Tennessee. Tannehill went 16 for 34 for 198 and 0 touchdowns and 3 picks. Those 3 picks, man. At what point do you move to one of your other quarterbacks? You have 2 young quarterbacks sitting, waiting. I think it's only a matter of time. Derek Carr was slinging it. He had 23 for 33 for 305, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He was sacked 4 times. The New Orleans rushing only had 69 total rushing offense. So their offensive line may need a little work. But Chris Olave popped off. He had 8 for 112. So Olave, second year, we thought he could do things. Derek Carr can feed a number 1 wide receiver. So it looks like he'll be just fine. This is going to be a fun offense, I think, to start to watch in New Orleans. I think Titans are on the downfall here. This was my bad, guys. Watching, I said I was a little concerned when it came to the San Francisco 49ers versus Pittsburgh game. I didn't know how Purdy was going to be coming off of his injury. And I actually picked Pittsburgh. I look like a moron. San Francisco went into Pittsburgh and won 30-7. And it wasn't even that close, to be honest with you. He basically came back and didn't miss a beat. He went 19 for 29 for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Christian McCaffrey out here being Christian McCaffrey. He had 22 carries for 152 yards and a touchdown, including a long of 65. Brandon Ayuk, we thought he was going to pop off and have a good year. Well, Purdy's like, let me show you. He had 8 for 129 and 2 touchdowns. Ayuk could have a big year this year. So for a team, San Francisco had 220 yards through the air and 188 on the ground. That's putting up. I thought Pittsburgh's defense was going to be good. Not against San Francisco apparently. Pickett went 31 for 46 for 232, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, took 5 sacks. They only had 41 yards on the ground. Deontay Johnson did get hurt in this game. He had 3 catches and did go out with a concussion. So we will see. Hopefully he can come back. We will see. Not a concussion. I'm sorry. He had a hamstring. Excuse me. Wrong injury. he went out with a hamstring. So we will see. Well, hopefully Pickett gets better. You're just facing a very good defense. Next, we go to Carolina at Washington. Washington won 20-16. Actually, a pretty good showing, I suppose, by the Cardinals, who are supposed to be tanking, and Washington, who is also working with Sam Howell, who I believe is the second-year quarterback. Josh Dobbs went 21 for 30. That's actually not bad. But he only had 132 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, took 3 sacks. Cardinals had 96 yards on the ground with Connor putting up 62. But Josh Dobbs did fumble 3 times and lost 2 of them. You cannot have that if you're trying to win games. Sam Howell went 19 for 31 for 202, touchdown, 1 pick, but he was sacked 6 times. That's tough. So I guess if anything, there's a silver lining. Arizona has a good rush, or Washington just has a awful offensive line. Time will tell. Brian Robinson took the majority of the carries, had 19 for 59. So I think both of these teams, one is obviously taking, the other one's, I think, just bad. Next, we have Texans at Baltimore. C.J. Stroud, another rookie. He went 28 for 44. These rookies are throwing a lot week 1. 44 times for a rookie coming out. Boy. 28 for 44 for 242, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, but took 5 sacks for 46 yards. It's tough. It's a tough outing when you get sacked 5 times. You had Nico Collins catching 6 for 80, and Robert Woods catching 6 for 57. Stroud also did lose a fumble. Lamar Jackson, on the other hand, he got paid, and he didn't look good either. He went 17 for 22 for 169, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick. He got sacked 4 times, and he fumbled twice, losing 1. So he had 2 turnovers as well. Zay Flowers, we thought was going to have a big year. He had 9 receptions for 78. So anybody, again, fantasy-wise, I'll just throw those in there. Zay Flowers looks like he's going to be really good. J.K. Dobbins, unfortunately, tore his Achilles in this game. So that is an unfortunate hit for the Ravens. While they did win 25-9, they have definitely some things to pick up for me to really see where they're at. I wasn't impressed with Lamar, but there's a lot of quarterbacks I wasn't impressed with week 1. As we noticed with Joe Burrow and Cincinnati and some of these others who really need to pick it up. We'll go Green Bay at Chicago. Here's another game that I picked wrong. There was a lot of hype in Chicago. Justin Fields. A lot of people had Justin Fields as an MVP candidate. They thought he was going to be, balls to the walls good. And then, you have Jordan Love coming in, taking over for Aaron Rodgers. This is in Chicago, and the Packers won 38-20. It wasn't that close. Jordan Love came out slinging. He was 15 for 27 for 245, 3 touchdowns, no picks. That man, he sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. Hey, we may see. There's one other thing that could have happened here in this game. I'll get there in a minute. But right now, it looks like Jordan Love sitting behind Rodgers did some good, and Jordan Love could be very good. Aaron Jones ran 9 times for 41 and a touchdown. He also had 2 receptions for 86 and a touchdown with a long of 51. Dobbs had 4 catches for 2 touchdowns. So then on the other side, Fields was meh. Fields was 24 for 37, 216, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, took 4 sacks. He also was their leading rusher. I don't like seeing the quarterback as your leading rusher. He ran 9 times for 59 yards. We need to see DJ Moore in here. You've got DJ Moore on your trade. He needs to be your one, and he was only targeted twice. He was targeted twice, had 2 catches for 25. Justin Fields also lost a fumble, so he had 2 turnovers. Now, here's the thing that I've been making jokes with some of my Chicago friends here. Listen, I still, at this point, don't think it matters who the quarterback is in Green Bay. They own you. They are your father. As Aaron Rodgers likes to say, he owns you. And I believe Aaron Rodgers, before he left, handed the keys to Jordan Love and the deed to your football team to Jordan Love. So for the time being, the Packers will still and for always own the Chicago Bears, it seems. So sorry, Chicago Bears fans. You guys still apparently don't know how to beat the Packers. Off to the Vegas Raiders at Denver Broncos. These teams are both very question marks. Can Garoppolo lead a team without your speedy wide receivers where you just throw it to wide receivers on a 2-yard hitch route and they take it the rest of the way? Can you without turning it around to, Deebo Samuel, letting him go? I don't know. Can Russ turn it around with Sean Payton? Don't know. These teams, this was a 17-16 game. I chose the Broncos just because they were home. Garoppolo was 20 for 26 for 200, 2 touchdowns, and 1 pick. That's not bad. Josh Jacobs was 19 for 48. That's only a 2.5 average. That's honestly not good. So, Denver seems like they might have a solid run defense. So that's a plus there. Jacoby Myers did have 9 receptions for 81 and 2 touchdowns, leaving a little bit off for Devontae, who had 6 for 66. So we'll see if Garoppolo can improve. Russ didn't look too bad either. Russ was efficient. He was 27 for 37, only 177 and 2 touchdowns. Didn't throw a pick, which is good. So we will see where it goes from here. We might be able to see both teams, hopefully, see if they can improve throughout the year. Next, we'll go Philly at New England. We have Jalen Hurts, 22 for 33 for 170 and a touchdown. Took 3 sacks. Gainwell had 14 for 54. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith both had 7 receptions. Brown had 79 yards, and Smith had 47 and the touchdown. Jalen Hurts did lose a fumble here. Mac Jones threw 54 times. I don't like when you have quarterbacks throwing for that much. I think you need to balance your run game more. I know maybe it wasn't par. You're playing from behind. But you weren't playing too far behind. Going into halftime, it was 16. You were at a 16 to 14 going into half. So, and you lost by 5. You had a chance at the end to win. I don't know which one this looks. Now, I believe this was also a very gross field. So, again, we'll give it some time. Am I a little worried for Philly? Maybe. Am I intrigued by the Patriots playing that well? A little bit. I think their defense is a little bit better than their offense. I'm still not sold on their offense, but we'll see. We'll run through these last few. We have the Rams at Seattle. Seattle let me down. I didn't think the Rams had this in them. You have the Rams winning 30-13. Stafford going 24 for 38 for 334. Didn't throw a touchdown. But you had 2 new wide receivers. You had Puka Nakua. I don't know how to say his last name. I apologize. He had 15 targets, 10 catches, 119 yards. And you had Tutu Atwell catching 6 for 119. They had without Cooper There's your guys to catch some footballs. Cam Akers had 22 for 29 and a touchdown, and Kyrie Williams had 15 for 52 and 2 touchdowns. Gino, on the other hand, went 16 for 26 for 112 and a touchdown. DK had 3 for a touchdown. I just think Seattle's defense is a hot mess. So they're going to have to make some adjustments, or Seattle's going. I don't think their offense is going to be able to keep up with that kind of play style. Next, by far the game of the week is Miami at the Chargers. This was a toss-up. I believe I chose the Chargers. Miami won 36-34. This was a banger. Two high-powered offense slinging the ball. Tua threw 28 for 45 for 466 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Did Tua even run the ball? Tua did run. He ran an extra 5 times for 5 yards. Okay. Thought he might have added more. Mostert had 10 for 37 and a touchdown. Tyreek had 11 receptions for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tyreek still has it. Waddle added 4 for 78. But boy, Tyreek is balling out there. Flip side, Herbert went 23 for 33 for 229 and 1 touchdown. Eckler added 117 on the ground for a touchdown, and Joshua Keeley added another 16 for 91 and another touchdown. Herbert also added a touchdown by him on the ground himself. Allen had 6 receptions for 76. These two teams, the problem with the Chargers is their defense. Herbert can put up 34, and another team is going to put up 35 or 40. We'll see what Miami can do. I'm really high on Miami right now. I'm kind of really high on the Chargers if they can fix their defense. These teams are explosive. Move on to Sunday Night Football, which was the Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants. Holy crap. The New York Giants didn't even show up, guys. It was 40-0. Daniel Jones, they're paying him, I believe, $40 million a year. They just signed him to $40 million a year, and he went 15 for 28 for 104 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks, and he took 7 sacks. And Jones did fumble twice, but he kept both of them. They did lose a fumble. This team, Saquon only ran 12 times for 51 yards. Daniel Jones ran 13 times for 43, probably because he was running for his life. Dak looked good. He was 13 for 24 for only 143, but he didn't have to do much because the defense was doing everything. Pollard ran 14 times for 70 and 2 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb had 4 for 77. Dallas's defense, man, they had the 2 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown. It was just, this game was all about Dallas's defense. They had a 58-yard blocked field goal return for a touchdown. They had a 22-yard interception return for a touchdown. And then you had all the other turnovers. That Dallas's offense didn't have to do much. If this is the defense they're going to show, Dallas is going to be scary. And Daniel Jones and that Giants need to turn it around. Final game, you have Buffalo at the New York Jets. Everybody was so hyped to see Aaron Rodgers in a New York jersey uniform. And he ran through the tunnel. And this was in New Jersey. And this was on Monday night. And this was on September 11th. There's a lot of hype around New York, a lot of excitement. Obviously, the history around 9/11, everything emotional there. Watching this game because of what happened, Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles on the 4th play of the game. And you could sitting here, you could almost feel it. You could hear it. The New York Jets fans, players, for the rest of that first half were devastated. They had nothing. They were done. And then at halftime they had to come out and fix it. I will say, so Zach Wilson did come in and he replaced, and he went 14 for 21 for the touchdown and a pick. Breece Hall has to get the game ball for 10 carries and 127 yards and a long of 83. He popped off an 83-yarder to kind of, almost seal it. On the other hand, Josh Allen he needs to stop what he's doing. Boy, he took some shots that he did not need to take. He's becoming a veteran. He took some shots on like Josh. I believe I even texted Zach. And I was like, yo, Josh, he needs to chill. He took one. I'm trying to figure out how this season we're going to get clips up here for visuals. I'll see if I can find it. Thanks, Kevin. So Josh is running, and he's heading towards the sideline. And this dude, leaps in the air and gets horizontal in the air. And as a quarterback, you don't want to do that. You're risking I just don't understand why you do that. He was 29 for 41 for 236, 1 touchdowns. He took 5 sacks, and he threw 3 picks. 2 of the picks were deep bombs to Diggs on 3rd down that were basically punts, but you're turning the ball over. Look for the first downs. And he also lost a fumble. He turned the ball over 4 times in the first game against the Jets. What are you doing? You're better than this. Josh needs to figure it out because he can't keep playing. Diggs was already upset and wanting to leave. I mean, Diggs was targeted 13 times, had 10 receptions for 102 yards and a touchdown. He got fed. But your quarterback can't be turning the ball over 4 times. You're not going to win a game like that against the Jets, who you should have beaten without Aaron Rodgers. This does say that the Jets' defense is fantastic. What are they going to do on offense now without Rodgers? I don't know. Bills, you better fix Allen because it looks like he's regressing. With that being said, that is recapping week 1 of the NFL. As I said, we both went 8-8, Eric and I. I'm being flagged. Running over again. I can talk. That was a terrible.
You need to get a flag.
You need to get a flag.
That would be funny.
Or a whistle.
A red and yellow flag.
Yes. As you can hear, my editor off-site. We're trying to keep these videos to 30 to 45 minutes, and apparently I'm getting close. Man, just imagine if Eric were here. We could ramble. We'll cut these down. We'll get better notes. So that being said, that's the recap. Very interesting week 1, guys, but it always is. We get to week 4 before we finally start to see teams develop into who they are. So until next week, we'll catch you guys later. We will have Eric back and perhaps a guest. Who knows? Until then, ta-ta for now. See you later.